Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I am Assistant Lecturer Lamia Hadi. Our lab today I will talk about a limb bud and the skull, the second lab in the second semesters of the embryology curriculum. Initially I will talk about of the limb buds. First slide, transverse sections in the pig 10 millimeters. In this slide show a neural tube, ventral neural tube. You can see the small structures that the notochord. Also you can see a somite differentiated into sclerotomes. Sclerotomes that the ventral and the middle part of the somite lose tissue around the neural tube and notochord. Lose tissue, while the dorsal and lateral part of the somite forming the dermomyotome dense tissue. Okay, loose tissue, sclerotomes around to the neural tube and the notochord that the ventral and the middle part of the somite, while the dense tissue, dermomyotomes that the dorsal and the lateral part of the somite. Also in these sections you can see a limb bud, and the transverse sections is formed of the extension from somatic lateral mesoderm and surrounded by ectoderms. You can see ectoderm surrounded the mesenchyme. At the tip of the limb bud show a thickening of the ectoderms is called apical ectodermal ridge. Apical ectodermal ridge that induce the limb bud elongations and formations of the limb bud. And you can see the mesenchyme of the limb bud forms the hyaline cartilaginous models of the long bone. Okay, a thickening is called the apical ectodermal ridge, while the mesenchyme of the limb bud forming the hyaline cartilaginous models of the long bones. Now I will talk about the skull. The skull composed of the two parts, a neurocranium, the brain box derived from the cranial valve and the cranial cavity, which form a flat bone surrounded by the brain and the base of the skull. And the second part, visceral cranium derived from the mesoderm of the pharyngeal arch, which form a skeleton of the face. The flat bone surrounded the brain and the base of the skull. and الviscerocranium derived from the mesoderm of the pharyngeal arch forming to the skeleton of the face. The brain box containing to the flat bones. The flat bones are separated by connective tissue. The connective tissue between two bones is called sutures. This is the frontal sutures, and this is the coronal sutures, and this is the sagittal sutures. Sutures derived from two sources. Sagittal sutures derived from the neural crest, and the coronal sutures derived from the paraaxial mesoderm. Many of the sutures disappear during adult life. Frontal sutures, coronal sutures, and sagittal sutures. And the connective tissue between more bones is called fontanelles. The large connective tissue is called anterior fontanelles, and this is the posterior fontanelles. Anterior and posterior fontanelles that are derived from the neural crest. Anterior fontanelle, which is found where the two parietal eminence and the two frontal eminence. Posterior closes about 3 months after birth, while the anterior closes about the middle of the second years. And this is the anterior lateral fontanelle, and this is the posterior lateral fontanelle. Thank you.